Greetings and various assorted salutations. This is a tutorial on how to use the suggesting feature in Google Docs. Now we're using this tutorial for editing documents. Perhaps you've been asked to review a document, and this is a way for you to make suggestions without getting rid of the original text, so that when someone else edits it, they can see, okay, this is what I put, this is what they're suggesting. And so that's the idea behind this. It's commonly used in situations where you're editing someone else's work, or it's used in situations where you might be making a lot of changes, but you don't want to lose the original text. In the case of my class, we'll be using this for the virtual museum, editing museum panels for it. Anyways, once you have a document open in Google Docs, and this works for slides and other Google applications, you need to switch what mode you're in. Now, by default, you're in editing mode. You want to switch to suggesting mode. You want to go from the pencil to the little speech bubble. Now, by switching to this, it'll say down here, you're suggesting, or my webcam is probably blocking the screen. And now you're in suggesting mode. So when I hit the delete key, instead of getting rid of that W, which is not properly capitalized, it just crosses it out and says delete W. And then what I'm going to do is I want that capitalized, so I'm going to put a capital W there. And it says replace lowercase w with uppercase W. And that's really all there is to it. One of the other features you can do is you can type into comments, and if your change is a bit more complicated than simple replacement, or maybe you want to explain it, or maybe you don't know how you want to do an edit, that would be the place. Now, when you're editing, there are several ways to detect errors. One of the ways that you can detect errors is using the automatic grammar checking programs and spelling checking. So right off the bat, you can see that there's blue squiggly lines, which indicate a grammar issue. And so we're going to take a look at those by right-clicking on them. It says, oh, you should probably use now. So we're going to do that. And you'll see it crosses out lowercase now and replaces it with the other now. Here's another one, can. Here's another one, faster. And this is a way to find a lot of errors, is through whatever the computer tells you. If it's a red squiggly line underneath, it's a misspelling. Do be careful. Some words, especially historical older words, may not be in the dictionaries that are used by our computer programs. This is uncommon, but occasionally is the case. Now, one thing that is worth noting is your Google Grammar Checker will not catch every error. If something is spelled right or it's grammatically sound, even though it doesn't look good, it will not catch it. So there's one example in this document. Gutenberg's printing press was all about to change this. Well, Gutenberg is singular, and this is the plural possessive. We need to fix that. But Google's spell check is not going to detect it until we get rid of the apostrophe. Because Google's grammar program doesn't know if you're referring to multiple Gutenbergs, Gutenberg and his wife maybe, or just Gutenberg himself. And so we're just only referring to one person, and we can fix that. So there are many things that you're looking for when editing. The other thing that you can do when you're editing is look at, okay, what do I want to focus on? And I don't recommend doing more than one or two things at a time. So you might be looking at grammar, or you might also look at, does the writing make sense? And that's something that the most simple grammar checkers don't really check for, is does the document make sense that you're reading? And so that's one of the things you need to be considering. But what you'll do is you go through the document, you make the suggestions that need to be made, and then what will happen is, now let's imagine that we are the person who gets the document back, the writer of the document. What we can do now is accept or reject changes. So we can accept or we can reject. Accept, you get the picture. You can add comments, so if you're bouncing a document back and forth, you can argue, if you want to say it that way, with your fellow writer of this document. In any case, I do hope this helps, and until later.